The city is silent, but it is not at peace. Shadows stretch across broken towers, and smoke curls into the sky like the last breath of a dying world. In that silence, something stirs, a force too great for any army, too dangerous for any weapon. Tonight, hope will face its darkest reflection. Tonight, Superman will fight himself. The sun hangs low, hidden behind clouds that bleed with fire. Once proud skyscrapers lean like broken teeth against a dark horizon, their glass shattered, their steel bones exposed. Streets are cracked, swallowed by deep wounds in the earth, and cars lie overturned as if a giant hand had swept through the city in rage. Not a single human sound can be heard, only the hiss of flame and the distant groan of collapsing metal. From above, the clouds shift. A single shaft of light pierces through, falling onto the ruins like a spotlight from the heavens. Within that light, a figure drifts downward, cloak fluttering like a banner carried by the wind. His boots touch the ground gently, but the cracked street trembles at his arrival. Superman stands tall, his face calm but his eyes heavy with unspoken sorrow. The destruction around him reflects in his gaze, and for a moment he seems to carry the weight of the entire broken city on his shoulders. The light frames him, making his colors shine against the ash, the blue of his suit, the red of his cape, a living flame of hope in the ruins of despair. He surveys the devastation quietly, his chest rising and falling as though each breath costs him more than strength, it costs him faith. Yet he does not waver. Even in the ruins, his stance is steady, his posture unbroken. A sound disturbs the silence, a slow crunch of stone shifting under a heavy step. Superman's head turns. The light flickers, swallowed by the shadow of something emerging from the wreckage. From beneath a collapsed building, a figure rises, pushing aside steel beams as if they were nothing more than twigs. Dust rolls off his shoulders, and as he steps forward, the light recoils, leaving him wrapped in shadow. It is Superman. And yet, it is not. His suit is darker, the blue stained into midnight, the red turned into the color of dried blood. His cape drags across the ground like the train of a fallen king, torn and frayed at the edges. His eyes burn crimson, glowing like embers in a dead fire. He smiles, not a smile of warmth, but a cruel curve that holds no mercy. The two men stand across from one another, mirrors of might, reflections of power. One carved from light, the other from darkness. The air thickens between them, charged with an invisible storm. Cracks split the asphalt at their feet, as if the earth itself fears what is about to come. For a long moment they do not move. They only stare. Superman's jaw tightens, his eyes narrowing with resolve. He does not need words. The presence of this shadow, this twisted reflection, is enough. Dark Superman tilts his head slightly, the cruel smile widening as though he hears a challenge that was never spoken. The silence is not empty, it is heavy, stretched thin like glass, ready to shatter. The wind rises. Loose pages from a burned book spin into the air, caught between them. A bent traffic light creaks and falls, the crash echoing through the empty streets. Still, neither moves. Still, they wait. Then, in the faint glow of fading sunlight, their capes ripple, one bright, one broken. It is a picture carved into the world itself, the eternal clash of hope and corruption. Two forces born of the same power, yet destined to destroy one another. And when the first spark of red light flickers in dark Superman's eyes, the silence ends. The flicker of red in dark Superman's eyes spreads like fire along his gaze. The glow burns brighter with each heartbeat, spilling across the ruins and painting broken walls in the color of blood. Superman's fists clench at his sides, not out of fear, but out of grim understanding. He knows what stands before him is not just a twisted copy, it is what he could become if hope falters, if power outgrows compassion. It is a reflection of every fear he has buried deep within himself. The air grows heavier, vibrating with the hum of restrained power. Dust begins to lift from the cracked pavement, pulled upward by invisible force. Shards of glass tremble in the skeletal windows of ruined towers, rattling against their frames like nervous drums. The entire city seems to lean into this moment, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Dark Superman steps forward. One slow stride, his boots crush debris into powder. Another step, and the ground quivers. His smile does not fade. It widens, curling into something almost feral. He does not need to speak. The cruelty in his expression is enough. His eyes burn hotter, streaks of molten light crackling at the edges. As though he is about to unleash hell itself, Superman answers not with words but with movement. His cape whips behind him as he straightens, his chest lifting, his eyes steady and unshaken. His silence is not weakness, it is defiance. He has no need for threats, no need for boasts. His very presence declares his vow: this city will not fall. Not to war, not to shadows, not to his own darker self. A sudden gust tears through the street, a whirlwind born of their gathering energy. Metal groans, torn from twisted heaps and flung into the sky. Flames bend sideways, bowing before the storm of their rising aura. Between them, the space is no longer empty, it is alive, crackling, trembling, charged with something too vast to contain. Then it begins. In a flash too quick for human eyes, Dark Superman surges forward. The ground shatters beneath his launch, splitting open in jagged veins of broken stone. He is a streak of black and red tearing across the street. Superman meets him head-on, their bodies colliding with the force of an earthquake. The impact thunders through the ruins, sending shockwaves, rippling outward. Windows shatter for miles, and a rain of glass falls like glittering sparks. The fight ignites. Blow after blow, fists collide at speeds that blur the world. Every strike lands with the sound of thunder. Each block rattles the air like cannon fire. They move faster than the eye can follow, their capes streaking behind them like banners of war. The ground splits open wherever their feet touch, asphalt exploding in violent bursts. Dark Superman slams a punch into Superman's jaw, hurling him through a row of abandoned vehicles. Metal crumples and fire erupts as cars explode in his wake. Before the flames can even rise, Superman is already up, streaking forward, his eyes glowing with heat. He unleashes twin beams of blazing fire, the air itself shrieking as the heat tears through it, but Dark Superman answers in kind. His crimson beams blaze to life, colliding with Superman's emitter. The clash of heat vision creates a burning wall of molten light, a sphere of raw destruction where red and orange crash together. The ground beneath them liquefies, glowing cracks spreading outward as if the earth itself is being melted. The two forces push against each other, locked in a test of will, until the explosion rips them apart. Superman is flung backward, crashing into the side of a skyscraper. Stone and steel erupt around him, and the tower groans as if it might collapse entirely. Dark Superman hovers in the air, framed by fire, his red eyes glowing brighter, his laugh silent but carved deep into his grin. He raises a hand, fingers curling into a fist, and in an instant he is upon Superman again. Through shattered walls they go, tearing through floors, leaving trails of destruction as though two gods are carving their war into the bones of the city. Each punch shakes the building. Each kick drives shockwaves through its steel frame. Until with one final blow, Dark Superman hurls his counterpart out the other side. Superman rockets across the sky like a comet, his body smashing through a billboard before slamming into the street below. The asphalt caves in, forming a crater that spews dust and fire. For a moment, all is still. The city groans around the wound of battle, flames rising higher, smoke blackening the horizon, but the stillness does not last. From within the dust, Superman rises. His body bears the marks of the clash-scorched armor, blood at the corner of his lip, his cape torn and frayed. Yet his eyes remain the same, unbroken, steady, burning not with rage, but with resolve. He wipes the blood from his face with the back of his hand and lifts his head to the dark figure hovering above. Dark Superman hovers there like a vulture, waiting, his silhouette blotting out what little light remains in the sky. For him, this is not just battle, it is pleasure, the pure joy of destruction. For Superman, it is something else entirely. This is not about winning. This is about stopping the shadow that wears his face, no matter the cost. And as the dust clears and the world holds its breath once more, the fight is far from over. It has only just begun. Asterisk, the crater still smolders, its edges glowing faintly from the heat of battle. Smoke coils upward, carrying with it the sharp tang of burning. Asphalt, dark Superman hovers above the pit, his cape dragging in the wind like a banner of conquest. He tilts his head, crimson eyes narrowing, expecting silence, expecting defeat. But then the smoke shifts, stirred by a sudden gust. A silhouette rises, Superman steps forward, battered but unbroken. His suit is torn at the shoulder, the iconic crest on his chest marred by soot and blood. His breaths are heavy, his muscles trembling with strain, but his gaze never falters. There is no fear in his eyes, only the steady, burning promise that he will not fall. Not here, not tonight. Dark Superman's cruel smile flickers for just a moment. He expected collapse, surrender. Instead, he finds defiance. The shadow tightens his fists, his aura flaring with heat that scorches the air around him. The ground beneath his hovering form cracks and smolders as though even the earth recoils. Superman launches upward. In a blur of speed, he collides with Dark Superman midair, fists meeting in a burst of thunder that rattles the city's bones. The shockwave ripples outward, toppling weakened towers, blasting fire into the sky. They streak upward together, two meteors locked in orbit, their clash carving streaks of light across the storm-thick heavens. The chase begins. Dark Superman darts through the jagged skyline, weaving between the broken teeth of ruined skyscrapers. Superman follows close behind, every turn and every burst of speed tearing the air apart with sonic cracks. They flash past shattered windows, their reflections distorted in the glass as if the city itself cannot decide which Superman is real. Dark. Superman slows, spins suddenly, and drives a fist toward his pursuer. Superman blocks, their collision shattering an entire building's top floor. Debris rains down, steel and glass tumbling like deadly confetti. Superman doesn't retreat. He pushes forward, pressing his shoulder into his dark twin's chest, driving him higher and higher until both crash through a bank of clouds. Above the city, the world is quieter. The smoke and ruin below fade into a sea of storm clouds lit by the setting sun. For a heartbeat, the two figures hover there, one lit by gold, the other burning crimson. But the silence breaks as Dark Superman lunges, slamming a knee into Superman's ribs. The hero grunts, twisting in pain. But instead of falling, he retaliates with a headbutt that cracks like a gunshot. Both reel backward, but Superman steadies first. He doesn't match his twin's raw aggression with brute force. He shifts, adapts, fights with purpose. He dodges the next strike, countering with a blow to the gut, then twists to lock Dark Superman's arm and hurl him downward. The villain spirals, crashing through the storm clouds and back toward the ruins below. Superman streaks after him, a blazing comet of blue and red. The chase resumes, faster now, their bodies slamming into one another mid-flight. They tear through a skyscraper's skeleton frame, sparks and steel scattering as they weave between its collapsing beams. The building cannot withstand their fury. It groans, tilts, and then falls. Collapsing in a storm of dust and fire, the two Supermen blast out the other side, soaring higher, then plunging together toward the streets below. The sound barrier breaks, sonic booms echoing like rolling thunder. Dark Superman claws at his opponent midair, fists battering against Superman's sides. But Superman grits his teeth, enduring, locking his arms around the Shadow's waist. He pulls his darker self into a dive, faster and faster, the world blurring around them. The ground rushes up to meet them. At the last instant, Superman twists his body, forcing Dark Superman beneath him. With a roar of effort, he slams his twin into the earth. The impact explodes like a bomb, hurling shockwaves in every direction. Buildings quake, windows shatter, and the street itself caves in, forming a crater so vast it swallows blocks. The blast of dust blinds the city, turning day into night for a moment. When the dust clears, Dark Superman lies at the center of the crater, embedded deep in shattered stone and fire. For the first time, the cruel smile is gone. His body twitches, stunned by the sheer force of the blow. Superman lands above him, his cape whipping in the storm of debris. He does not speak, but his stance is clear. This fight is not over, but hope is far from defeated. The silence that follows is deafening. The city groans as if in awe, as if the ruins themselves feel the tide shifting. Superman looks down at his fallen shadow, his chest rising and falling with determination. He knows this moment is not victory. It is only a breath, a pause in the storm. The true battle, the one that will decide not just this city, but his very soul, still lies ahead. And as Dark Superman's eyes flare red once more, that storm is about to rise again. The crater smolders, glowing faintly as though the earth itself has caught fire. Dust hangs in the air, veiling the ruined city in a gray shroud. At its center, Dark Superman stirs. His hand presses against the cracked ground, fingers clawing deep as he rises. The faint twitch of his lip twists back into a grin, not of triumph this time, but of challenge. His crimson eyes blaze hotter, searing through the haze like twin suns of rage. Superman stands at the rim of the crater, his chest heaving, his cape shredded to ribbons. The setting sun paints his silhouette in gold, but the weariness etched across his body is undeniable. His fists tighten despite the tremor in his arms. He has no choice. He cannot retreat. The shadow below him is more than an enemy. It is the reflection of every doubt, every fear, every whisper of corruption that power could bring. To lose here would not just doom the city. It would doom the very idea of hope itself. Dark Superman ascends. His rise is slow, deliberate, the cracked pavement crumbling away beneath the pressure of his power. Lightning splits the sky overhead, as if the storm itself answers to him. His aura burns red, waves of heat distorting the air. Superman answers in silence, stepping forward, lifting from the ground until both hover above the ruins. The city lies broken beneath them, two titans poised to decide its fate. For a moment, time holds still. The wind dies. The fires hush, even the rubble seems to wait. Then, as though obeying some unspoken signal, both charge. They collide in a thunderclap that splits the heavens. Fists meet with the sound of shattering mountains. The shockwave rips outward, tearing clouds apart, scattering flames, bending towers that somehow still stood. They strike again and again, each blow shaking the air like a war drum. Their movements are blurs of red and black and gold, streaks of lightning weaving through the dying sky. Superman is driven backward, a punch to his gut folding him, another to his jaw sending him spinning. Dark Superman pursues without mercy, hammering blow after blow, each one echoing with brutal precision. But Superman refuses to fall. He catches an arm, twisting with desperate strength, and drives his elbow into his twin's ribs. The shadow grunts and for the first time falters. Superman seizes the moment, unleashing a flurry of strikes, each fueled not by rage but by resolve. They spiral upward into the clouds, their battle carving lightning from the storm. Heat vision ignites once more, beams colliding in a burning spear of light. The clash blinds the sky, a second sun born above the ruins. The force pushes them apart, each hovering, battered, smoke rising from scorched armor. Both breathe heavily, their capes shredded to tatters, their faces hardened masks of will. Dark Superman tilts his head, rage twisting into something wilder. He throws back his arms, his aura flaring to monstrous heights. The storm itself bends. Around him, lightning spiraling toward his body as though the very sky feeds his power. Superman narrows his eyes, steadies his breath, and summons every last ounce of strength. His body glows faintly, the fading sunlight catching his form, as though the heavens themselves lend him their light. And then, the final charge. They streak toward one another, faster than sound, faster than sight. The world seems to slow in that instant. Dust hovers in the air like frozen ash. Flames bend sideways, the city below braces in silence. Two forces, equal in might, opposite in soul, close the distance. Their fists draw back, their eyes locked, their wills unbroken. Impact. The collision explodes with a shockwave unlike any before. The ground tears apart in concentric waves. Buildings crumble to their foundations. Windows shatter across the horizon. The very sky splits, clouds torn into spirals of smoke and fire. Light engulfs everything, searing white, as though creation itself has been struck. Then silence, the light fades, leaving only dust and ruin. The wind stirs slowly, carrying ash across the broken streets. Somewhere deep within the haze, a single silhouette stirs. A figure rises, his outline framed against the dying glow of the horizon, but which one? The dust swirls, refusing to reveal. Only the sound of steady breathing, heavy and labored, breaks the quiet. A cape flutters weakly in the wind, torn but not destroyed. The city watches, silent, waiting. And then two glowing eyes cut through the haze, not gold. Not red, something in between. The figure steps forward and the world holds its breath. Hope and fear blur together, indistinguishable. In that final moment, the battle is over, but the story is not. The screen fades to black,